Hello, bonjour. I've come out here today quickly because I've been wanting to film this for a while, but I have to wait until all the neighbours' cars are gone, and then I know I hopefully won't get disturbed. Not to say someone might just suddenly come back from the shops. But I want just first of all, I've done a video similar to this before, but I wanted to do an updated one. But this is not a chateau. This is our palace. We bought this house, or these houses, in 2004 when there was quite a lot of English or British buying properties here in France. There's stories behind all of that in my videos. I don't really want to repeat myself, but we basically had enough of living in England and decided that we would have a holiday home here, which obviously the more we came here, the more we hated to leave it. So we came over, when we bought the house, it was very tired. It had been neglected for at least 30 years. And there was just one gentleman living in what is now our gîte. So one of the first things we had done, we had a English builder actually do the repointing, and I'll take you around and show you in a minute what that is, in case some of you don't know. But he did the pointing and sent us pictures, and we were over the moon, because all of a sudden it was just like it was ours, and it was a new project. As I say, I think we paid, Duncan would correct me, but I think we paid for the two together for around £30,000. But it might have been the euros, in which case it would be cheaper. If I find out from Duncan exactly how much it is, I'll put it on the screen. But I'm now going to walk you around the outside, and then at some point I will be showing you some photos that I have shown before, but it was very difficult for me at the time because I was new to YouTube, not quite knowing what I was doing, and I now want to hopefully go through a little bit slower so I can show you exactly what we did to our house. Let's go. Okay, as you'll see in the photos, this used to be old wooden, almost like barn doors, but I think there was supposed to be garage doors. And we replaced them with these. We had plans initially, before you actually live somewhere you don't know, but above the door there we did initially think about putting some sort of canopy over it, knowing that we hadn't got a garden, and so that we could sit out here. But then you start realising the practicalities of that. It's just, well, no, we wasn't going to be used it. We didn't want to be sitting in the middle of the square with the neighbours looking at us. So we put those in. As I'm standing here looking at them now with all the bad weather we've had, they really need a clean. I'm hoping that won't show up on film. And all the windows were replaced with double glazing, which is a shame, but they do like you to replace all windows if you're going to use double glazing to match the style that everybody basically puts in the whole village. Now you can see there's two lintels. That was how it was when we bought. So a long time ago there used to be, as you can see there, the pointing is slightly lighter, and in a square or an oblong there used to be a door there, which was to say that's how it was when we bought the house. And then this one, we can only assume, used to be a window under this one. We have never seen any pictures, so we don't know for sure. It's interesting how things have changed over a few hundred years, but people have just made alterations to the house. The the is it called the soffit? I don't know. Under the roof is much the original. We've done a few repairs. We've changed. You'll see in the pictures the drain pipe here that comes down from the roof. We have these gullies which take the water away, and then the water runs right the way round, right down there. So when we first got the house, there was nothing here except that rose in the centre there, that rose by the door there, and then was that big quince bush there. I'll show you in a minute. There was some roses around the front. It used to be known as the House of the Roses, which is quite sweet, isn't it? And again, because we haven't got a garden attached to the house, we decided to put some pots out the front. I was a bit anxious because we didn't know whether Marie was going to be very happy about it, and we only seem to be the only people in the village that do it. But we put these pots out. Not the best time of year, but over the years we've changed them a few times, and it's the best place for the bin and for our compost bin. Not the exciting bits, but in the summer this looks lovely. When everything's in bloom, it looks really lovely. This one here, believe it or not, is my mum's rose, and her ashes are under that one. I needed to have that near to the house, obviously. This is one of the originals, as I said. Now this is another interesting fact. That is our door number. When we first bought the house, there was no door numbers on any house. And that's sort of nearly 20 years ago now, isn't it? Well, it's 20 years this year. And back on one of our holidays, then a number appeared on the door. And so we thought, oh, okay, but up to then, the postman and everybody, they just get to know who lives where, and even us being English, they get to know the names, and someone could just put, because at that time there wasn't many of us, but they could probably even put English in Montrepoulet, and they would get it to us. The good thing is, these numbers, they don't run consecutively. They're like, we're an odd number. Next door isn't 103, it's 90 something. And it's bizarre. So we really still do not really know what the reason is behind the numbers. We thought maybe it was plot numbers or something, but no idea. One day maybe we'll get round to asking Roger the mayor. So let's just have another walk round. This is the new door. This has been in a couple of years now, new door to the gîte. We had a wooden one, which is again very similar character to that one, that said we needed to try and keep the character. I've just taken my scarf off and everything to try and rearrange my microphone. I'm hoping the sound prior to this was okay, but hopefully it is now anyway. And I've got, as any regular viewers will know, I've got new microphones. I'm still getting used to them, so I've just put the little dead cat, as they call it, to keep the wind off of the microphone. We'll see. Anyway, let's turn you around, as I say, and show you around. Oh, one thing we've done when we got the sheet, and we thought we may not always be able to be accessible for our guests for their key, we put in a key box, which is quite common. But generally at the start I used to always show the guests round. People seemed to like that, but COVID put a stop to that, so we were lucky we had the key box at the time. And now I've got into the habit of that, and I must admit, although we always make an effort obviously to see our guests, but I don't show them round like I used to. But everything's available and every bit of information they need's available in the cottage anyway, in a folder, so you always just pray that they'll read it. Right, as I say, this is a quince bush. I did once try to cook quinces, but I'm very unsuccessful. This is a recent window Duncan's put in because it was the last window that needed replacing. He's done a good job of that. So it's a bit lighter actually in the sheet now. As you see, we're quite close to the church. All these parking spaces that you see here were put in, I don't know, about 8 years ago now. But it's worked out well because we can now say to the guests that there's parking to the front and it's obvious. So yeah, this is the front of the sheet. Again, as you'll see in pictures, this was all repointed. The downside at the moment is because the way this house faces, it seems to get all the weather. So you can see at the moment it's looking quite dark in colour, but in the summer it's a lot lighter, but it's just been battered with all the weathers and it's not getting through, but it just looks less pretty this time of year, unfortunately. Roses have been cut back, but Duncan has trimmed that one back, and you can see we've got some weeding to do again, and you can see we tend to get moss growing outside the house. There's not a lot we can do about that. This is another bush. I don't think this is quince. I don't remember us getting fruits off this, but that looks lovely with red flowers on it. This little sign, this model I made at a pottery class not too far away. I'm sorry if you can hear the traffic in the background, but we are in a village, and it is a main road that goes from La-Chateau down to the big roundabout, which takes you to La Mayenne, which is our main town. Even though it's a main road, and at this time of day it's a bit busier, but really for us this is quiet compared to what we had in where we lived in England, because we weren't in a village in England. We was obviously in a normal busy town, so the majority of the day it's very quiet here. It's just occasionally when you want to film, they will start coming through the village. Yeah, so you can see a little bit of the detail around the window there. The window around the door. Not quite sure what it is. I think it's just leaves and things. We put that light up, or say Duncan put the light up, so the guests can see the front door if they come back at night. This is the alleyway, which I'll be walking down usually when I'm going to the garden to show you what's happening all the time. And this is the garage that we bought recently. At some point I will show you inside, but Duncan's not quite too happy for me to film in there yet because he's busy inside. I'd like you to see it when he's basically when he's ready. The roof needs some work. It's got, I don't know if you can tell on the film, but it's I think they're called the ridge tiles missing. You can see on next door's barn roof, the ridges are there, with ours all gone. So the plan is as well this year to buy some new tiles and ridge tiles, and Duncan's going to hopefully get up there and repair that. He's not a roofer, but he does do most things. Also, we got some friends who do some roofing, so you never know. We might be able to barter the work. Duncan might be able to do some electrics for them, and they might be able to help us out with the roof. Yeah, despite the ridges and that missing, the water's not really been getting in, so it's quite good. And so everything's kept dry in there. We're storing our wood in there, and Duncan does some work in there. He's got his own little atelier now, which is a workshop that he's always wanted. So it works out well now that he doesn't have to make mess in the house. Yay! And he can just go in there and do the messy work. As I was saying about the pointing, basically that means this. all this was all, as you'll see in the picture, was very dirty looking and grey, and I had it all replaced, and I'll show you inside where we done the inside as well. But ourselves, we just didn't do the outside, and we wanted to know that the house was just basically dry from the weather, and it wasn't going to fall apart while we were back in England. So, and obviously doing that pointing, it's highlighted that doorway I was talking about. And also talking about the doorway, you can see these big stones, which obviously used to support the door frame as well. Well, I don't know if it's supporting the door frame or it's the other way around. But anyway, it's the shape around the door, and above the door you can see the little stones in a slight arch, and the window there as well. It must be a window. I can't imagine they'd have two doors next to each other like that. So, yeah. And now that's the other thing as well here. You see we have post boxes. I think in America you have similar. In England generally they don't, because they tend to, in most towns that we know of, tend to have a post, like a letterbox. And it's not really a box, although sometimes there's a box on the other side of it, but it's generally in the front door itself, whereas here they don't have that. It's quite handy if you've got a bigger one as well for parcels. Oh yeah, as you can see, the pointing was done everywhere, and that's all around the front as well, around here. And all the way down the back side. That there is just obviously used to be a window. As you can see, there's a huge stone above it, which just all seemed a bit overkill for a little window. But it's now where our vent is. We've got like a ventilation unit that helps to keep the sheet dry, and we also use it. It's connected. We've got one that's sort of connected to it in our house as well. There's another vent. I've just noticed it's a different effect on the stone at the back here. It's almost gone pink. But yeah, that's the bad weather for you. These windows again that were replaced, as you'll see later in the video. And that shows you the levels. Here you can see it looks very close to the windows, but inside it's not. It's like a normal window height. And that's a back window, and this one's got a wooden lintel above it for some reason. We put the bars up just for security when we weren't here. As I say, the crime levels are very, very minimal compared to where we lived before in the UK, but it's good for insurance purposes and everything as well. So we've put them on the little windows as well. Again, these are got wooden lintels on top of the windows. It's quite funny when people are inside the house and they see people walking past, and it really takes a second to realise what's going on, because all you can see obviously are people's legs as they walk past, and if there's children they can't help but have a look inside. And our neighbours, when he comes out of his garden, which is just there, he'll come out of his gate there, and occasionally he'll get down on his knees to talk to us through the window there, and you can just see, I don't know if you can see through the glass, but in there, that's our living room. And that one obviously looks through to the living room as well, and this one curtains on it at the minute, but that one is where the kitchen is. So yeah, that shows you quickly the outside. As I said, it's looking a bit sad really at the minute. I was hoping to do this one a nice spring day, but you might as well see the realities of it, mightn't you? As I said about the weeds, they're coming up because obviously we've had a lot of rain. We've had occasional days where it's been sunny, but the temperature's not been it's not been cold all the time. So that's the opportunity where the weeds think, oh, that's it, let's pop out. Okay, so the next part of the video I will be going through the photos and quickly just talking you around the house, the work we've done. Hello. Right, let's continue with this video for renovations. I think it was a good week ago that I filmed the last bit, so now we're picking up and I'll attach this to the rest. I'm going to slowly show you around and talk about what work we've done in the house, and hopefully from the pictures you can tell befores and after, because if you can't then we're in big trouble. Okay, let's start with the front door. Right, this door you'll see in some of the photos was very different. In the first one it was a plain white door and much wider. And then we bought an oak door from the UK and brought it over, and that was our proper official front door. And this one has been in less than a year, but this one doesn't let any of the wind through or the water, so that was quite good. And actually we got friends to bring it over for us because it was cheaper in the UK than in France. Unfortunately, things like doors and windows can be quite expensive here, and they're not always the best quality. And you know, there could be, that one cost us just under £600 or euros. I can't remember which way around it worked now, but it would have been, I don't know, here probably 3,000 or 4,000. So I think the doors here are a bit heavier, I'll give them that, but otherwise, you know, if you haven't got the money, you haven't got the money, have you? So this serves its purpose. Turn you around. This doorway, obviously Duncan has boarded up. You'll see in the photos again that this was all open and stonework. This corner is obviously where our electrics are. And one day we might actually box it in, put a cupboard around it, but it's at the moment we're not looking at it all the time, so we put up with it. And we just thought we'd have just a little feature, put a little cubby hole in there, which is obviously one of those places that's handy for putting your keys and anything in as you come in the front door. There you can see the stairs. Now I know there's a picture that shows this all totally open. I'm sorry for some of the lights because the LED, some of it might be a bit of strobing, but this floor, you can see in one of the photos, you'll see where we put in a cement base for this wall. And this was all totally open. You're going to get my reflection in the mirror, but ignore it. In front of me here, there used to be Like behind this door was stairs that went upstairs, basically up to the next floor. So obviously this wall is all totally new. Well, practically everything in the house is new. This is a very handy storage now under the stairs. Again, one day we'd like to get doors on it, but at the moment it serves its purpose. Here you've got the door into the utility room. Again, in the photos you'll see this was all totally open. Let's put the light on. This has changed a few times, so it's a little bit dark, but the lights take a while to brighten up, but I should have put them on earlier. But anyway, yes, so we've changed one of those tanks in there before. There was one very large tank. Set the bags out of the way. One serves us and one serves the sheet. But it's quite handy to have it in here, because if there's any problems, Duncan hasn't got to disturb the guests. And he can do any maintenance he needs to do in here. You can see we've got, let's say, like an air, not air conditioning, it's a V, I think they call it a VC, but basically it's an air vent that takes all the smells and steam out. And it's and again, convenient to have it in here, and then it goes out the wall there. Duncan has recently, because it's utility room, we've not bothered doing much with the ceiling and everything, but he's recently put that shelf up there for a bit more storage, basically. And he put these, they're electrical wires, genius, eh? There's just, again, for me to hanging up my smalls to dry in here, and it works brilliantly. And this shelf's quite recent actually as well, and again, more storage in here. We don't want to go to the lengths of buying new cupboards and everything when this will do. This box that's on the wall actually was my father's. He had two boxes. I'll show you the other one in the living room. But they were ammunition boxes, apparently once upon a time, but they've served great on there as a shelf. You can see obviously usual stuff, the hoovers in here, the steam cleaners here, the airer. Recent purchase was another shoe box so that Duncan can put his in there, and mine are in the one in the hall. Yeah, so it's basically a bit of a dumping ground, but we do try and keep it tidy-ish. And it's where I store, you can see, just about, you can see that's where I store the onions. They're all tied up there in stockings. Back out again. And of course it's great to be able to hang the coats up and shut the door on them. We confuse people coming in because it says restrooms out the back, and we bought that when we was in America. And people, if they know what a restroom is, they get very confused. And even the French, they don't know what a restroom is, but when they first come in they think that's where the toilet is. Right, now we're in the living room. This corner, again, this is obviously the other side, the whole the wall in the hallway. I can't speak today. And yeah, this corner, as you'll see in all the photos, initially all the walls were bare stones, as you see over there. Sorry about the strobing, as I said. And this here, the bookcase, is the other side of what I showed you outside, which was where there used to be a door. And we decided, first of all, we were going to put a window in there, but now we obviously decided to put a bookcase in because we've got so many books. We very rarely read them these days, but they're always good as decoration, aren't they? That's obviously our CDs. See, Duncan loves soft lighting, but when it comes to videoing, it doesn't do me any favours. Okay, now this here, you can see our French doors. As I said when I was talking about it outside, initially we thought we'd open those up and maybe sit outside there, but as you can see, the outlook is other people's houses, so it wasn't going to be exactly private or the most practical, so we decided in the end they're just big windows basically, and we use them very rarely, occasionally, like when the sofa came in and when the wood burner came in. It was the easiest way to come straight from the street into here, and because obviously it's a bigger opening, so they do come in handy, but as I say, very rarely used. The ceiling, as you can see, it's all been taken down once and put up again, and we've insulated underneath those plasterboards, and also painstakingly had to oil and paint all the beams and ceiling. This floor, see, this goes all the way through out to the hallway as well, around the kitchen. It's basically the whole floor was tiled. Initially, as you'll see in the photos, this whole floor was a dirt floor. And we had to get a digger in. That was before we had the French doors in. We had a digger come through again, we'll show you in the photos. And this all had to be dug out, levelled out, and then concrete put in. That's the one thing we didn't do. For ourselves, we got a builder in with his friend, and he laid the cement down, which was quite a job, because they were laying it, I think it was in August, and obviously it was warm, so they were really desperately trying to get it laid and flat and smooth before it dried out. They did it, thankfully. But we did have quite a few challenges. Over here, I'm going to turn you around. There, under where the bin is and just in front of the step, there was a huge boulder that we couldn't take out. So that determined the level of the floor. So that was it. So that was decided then that was obviously where we had to bring the floor up to. So it was filled with earth, then filled with insulation, and then a lining, and then obviously the cement on top. We did consider putting underfloor heating in, and sometimes wish we had, but it's done now. Now I'm blowed if we're going to pull it all up to start again. So let's take you round a bit more. The stone there, I've told a few times, and I'll keep telling you, because obviously I'm proud of myself. But this stone had to be, and that's in the whole house, had to be dug out all around each stone, and then you spray it with water, or you brush it out first, then spray it with water, mix up your mix, which is this bit here, and then fill the holes. It takes quite a long time. I did the majority of that because it was something Duncan could leave me doing while he got on with whatever else, electrics or whatever else he could do. He did do some of it with me, but the majority of it was done by me. And as I say, very hard work, but also very satisfying, because it's one of those few jobs that you can actually do, be proud of, and it's always there. Very often, like poor Duncan's electric work, he does the electrics, and more often than not, it's behind walls, you know, and then no one could actually see what I did. But obviously, it's functioning, it's keeping people safe. This fireplace was always here, but the hearth wasn't. So the chimney is there. That's the original piece of wood around the chimney. You can see over time, you can see there, but it's dried out slightly, and we've got a slight crack there. But you're always going to get movements and cracks in houses just over years anyway. And Duncan built that hearth. I'll put photos on to show you. These stones, basically, we found in under the when we dug up the builders dug up the floor, and those stones were in the earth. That was here, so part of us thinks maybe it was originally there, but they didn't actually, they just dug it, left it there. It was once there and they just decided not to use it. I don't know, but it was perfect, because as you can see, the stones had a nice edge to them, which this is why we think maybe it was there before, but we don't know. Duncan, they do recommend really that you get someone in to actually install your fire. But I think if you know what you're doing and you're getting good guidance, sometimes you can put it in yourself. But it is wise, if you really don't know, to get someone in to do it, and then you can probably get it guaranteed. But I think Duncan knew what he was doing, basically. So it's how it looks now. You see, so if you can see there, but he's put a liner in there so that we don't get all the stuff falling down the chimney, and obviously stops the heat going up. And so that goes directly up. It did get some help to put the liner up the chimney. But, so that is, I think that's our second fire we've had in here, and that is fantastic, that one. Very efficient, and as long as you're putting in good dry wood, it works really, really well. I think I've spoken to you before. You can see the fan there. A lot of people put those fans in. They basically, if you get a lot of concentrated heat where the actual wood burner is, the fan will blow it away. So we tend to leave the living room door over there open and let it blow to take the chill off upstairs, because we've got no heating whatsoever upstairs. I say that we've got a towel rail in the front bedroom, but there's no heating in the back bedroom. We did used to have a heater in there, but because the electric has gone up so much, and we don't like a hot bedroom anyway, so the heater's been taken out. Now here, again, more the pointing I did. As you can see, we do like to have things on the wall. That's the other box I was talking about. So I need to bring some more kindling in. But that is the box, as I said. There used to be an ammunitions box or something like that it was called. Now this back wall, you'll see again in the photos, was all exposed stone. And you'll see how we gradually as I said, every single stone in the house was pointed, as you call it, and it was done not for decorate like this one. We did try to do it to make it pretty. Here we just did it to support the stone, so we knew that once we put this plasterboard and everything on it, we knew that it was going to be strong. So, and obviously because I don't know if you can see really, but you can just about tell that just the bottom part of the window is level with the ground outside. So you can imagine under there, underneath from the window down, it can be prone, or could be prone to damp, because obviously the ground gets wet. So that is, we've got a lot of insulation behind there, and brought it in a bit to make sure there's an air pocket, and then plasterboard. One thing I will say is in a lot of countries you would put wood. You'd put all wood up and then put the plasterboard on wood. In France that's not right, it's illegal, and for fire reasons. So we tend to have metal. Okay, there's a name for it, but it's basically metal bars. And Duncan loved it because it meant there was no sawing, it was just cutting with snips and then pinching it together. So it's a much easier install. So yeah, so it's all that is sat on metal. Duncan built that shelf there with some oak that I don't know if we were given it or we got it in the local wood yard, but yeah, it's a good solid piece. And that table that the TV is sitting on as well, they call it entertainment unit, don't they, or something? As you can see, our windows are very small, so we don't get an awful lot of light in here, which is why we wanted the French doors. But it also means that it keeps us cool in the summer. Duncan's built that also as well. This top was a like side table, so he took the legs off and then built that underneath for his precious, what do you call it, turntable. Up here you've got the main beam that runs across there, but as if I stand back, you can tell, you can see there in front of me it bows slightly. Duncan was a bit concerned that it might be a little bit unstable, so this is why he put this post in, which we thought would be a bit of a feature. We have thought in recent years that we wish in some ways we hadn't put it in, because it does limit what we can do with moving the furniture around, because it's a big lump. But it does serve its purpose. It gives us peace of mind, but we wish in some ways we could have done it in a different way. But there you go. Now we're into the kitchen, and we've got a blind up there for some reason. I should have took that down, but it doesn't matter anyway. So again, it's still a very, very small window, but we've got directional spotlights in here. Duncan built all the cupboards. They were all built out of pieces of oak flooring that we bought in packs. And they're good and solid, so we just used the normal sort of carcass you can buy, and then put the solid doors on the front and the solid wood worktop. Again, very practical because it takes a lot of knocks and everything, but the downside is you do have to oil it regularly to keep it from absorbing the water, and it's about due to be done again actually. This green cupboard we got from, I think that was from a vide grenier, as in car boot, and that's exactly how it was when we got it actually. The sort of worn, where it's sort of worn, the paint's worn and everything, but it's a lovely little cupboard, very handy, and it means that, I mean, just things that are hand from the worktop as most cupboards, but keep my tea bags in it and my endless pills and so on. Duncan built the OT, as they call it here. It's the cover for the extractor fan, which, as I showed you in the utility room, goes out through the fan there through the wall. So it's quite simple, but it looks the part. And this obviously my cooker. I think you know what a cooker looks like. Did used to have a lid on it, as you can see here. There used to be a glass lid there, and as any regular viewers or people that have been watching for a while will know what happened there. But I'd gone out of the room and I left one of the gases on, and I was outside and just heard this almighty bang, and the whole thing shattered. So I no longer have a lid, and it didn't, you know, we couldn't just go and get a new one just like that, not rich. So yeah, so more cupboards. These handles we've only had for a couple of years, but they're nice. They're sort of ceramic handles. Another little cupboard we picked up at a vide grenier, same as for the plates as well. So it's sort of just got a bit more of a country look. I do sometimes wish that they were behind doors, but then I do like the way they look as well. So, and I think because it's one room, we didn't want the kitchen to look too stark, too clinical. It had to feel cosy and warm in with the rest of the room. So that's why we chose wood. Because I think if they were melamine or bright greens and white or whatever, it just wouldn't look right in the room without the rest of the room being modern. And because we like the cosy look, yeah, we've stayed with that. And it's really, you can do it, just make it look different with the accessories, can't you? And the appliances and things. So yeah, we're quite pleased with that. Oh, one thing, I don't know if I've told you, but Duncan built these two tables. They were just, that one is like a chocolate box. You can just see on the side there. Got that at an antiques fair, and he made the top to that, and inside there I keep all my medical papers and everything. And then he made a second one there, and as you can see, it's got like a DJ on the side, and Duncan keeps all these albums in there for for his turntable. This isn't all renovation, but I just thought I'd tell you while I'm here. These cupboards, we've got two cupboards here. They were both identical, but he adapted them to fit that corner. and I have to say the quality of these was appalling, really. But you know, it's like once you've got something, I thought someone to send it back. So he even had to strengthen it. He had to put more wood in there and strengthen it and everything, and they took the doors off of that one so that we could make it into a drinks cabinet. So let's go up the stairs. I don't think there's anything I haven't told you in there. As I say, you can compare by looking at the photos before and after, and there's obviously quite a difference. And that seems like an age ago now. You know, it was, how long we've been here? 14 years, I think, 13 years. So to us, it's hard to remember what it was like. It's reminding me as I'm telling you. Right, now we come back out here. Now, I forgot to tell you, this corner, there used to be a toilet just there, just sat in the corner, which was absolutely bizarre. There was no covering around it, no doors on it, no curtain even round it. So yeah, when they used to come in here and use that toilet. Weird. The stairs were just wood, and it took a while before they went in, but it was a hallelujah moment when they went in, because we've been having to go upstairs up to the top on a ladder. We've recently had to put this carpet on there. It's like a jute sort of carpet, because when I broke my foot and I was having to go up and down the stairs on my bottom, my plaster was obviously hanging down and it scraped the hell out of the stairs, so they had to be covered up. So apologies if you can see any dust. I'm yet to do my housework. Hey ho, I'm too busy doing YouTube. Right, okay, so this is our little, it was initially to be a guest bathroom. So we put in the small shower, and it is very small, because we thought it'd be better for just to make it a little bit more spacious in there, but I can barely get through those doors when they're open. But it's great if you've got kids staying and that, or people that are very slim. You can see here we kept the stone exposed in here, and Duncan put the toilet in at an angle because it just gave us more room, elbow room if you like. That was an old mirror we got at Vide Grenier. And we put in a sliding door here, as you see, so that saves some space as well. I think in America they call them pocket doors, don't they? But I think they generally go in the wall, whereas this one doesn't. Then we go into the back bedroom. Put the light on. Again, if I stand here, there's a photograph that you can compare it to. Well, basically it makes sense, and I think nowadays it's almost law, probably is law, that all external walls must be insulated. We would have liked to have had all the stone exposed, but we've been in people's houses where they've got all the stone exposed, and I think it can be a bit foolish, because the house doesn't hold the heat as much as it should do. So, as I say, we only exposed the internal walls, which gave us a feature really. This has all been done in the same way as downstairs. The metal railing and the insulation and the boards put on top. Another window. You can see on these windows, I showed you from the other side, that we've got bars on the windows. That's just more for insurance purposes because there is really no worries, and it's just too quiet. No one's going to get in anyway. But being as it was at the back, we thought it was safer anyway, because obviously if anybody wanted to, they'd probably more likely try and get in at the back where they couldn't be seen. This oh, that picture, I made that's out of I cut all little butterflies. I made that heart from our wedding cards. Or and this is something my children got made for me on my 60th, obviously. It's got all the children's names in there, you see, and Duncan's. Now here we used to have bunk beds, and the bunk beds were there so that we had a double bed here as we have now, and we had bunk beds there because we thought, you know, if family come to stay, at least two of them, even if they top and tailed, they could sleep there. So it'd be a family room basically. And they've never come and stayed, not in here. It's just never happened, unfortunately. So in the end, we decided to take them out and make it a useful space, because we needed space for the bedding for the gîte and the bedding for us and the towels and everything. So this went up, and it's just much more practical. Obviously, as with most houses, things get thrown on top, but that's just the way it is. You can see in here we painted the ceilings white. Our next door neighbour couldn't understand why we didn't do the same downstairs, but I'm sure you'll agree that the coziness of the wood colour was better downstairs. And upstairs we needed a bit of light reflecting around, again, because that's not a huge window. And we put the ceiling fan up, and they're fantastic. We've got one in this room, one in the other room. And they're not noisy, they're nice and quiet, then they're really effective. So yeah, so all this had to be painted several coats, but there's this lovely huge beams across, and all the original part. Maybe we may have replaced a few of the beams, but you can see we did get stuff falling through from the loft, so we put the little bits of wood on the gaps that were there, but it just made more of a feature really. You can see we've left some of the gaps, but yeah, so that worked out okay. You can see the exercise bikes ended up being in this room now, because we got fed up carrying it up and down the stairs every time we brought the Christmas tree out. Obviously all we've got in here, we've got no ceiling light in here, we've just got the two wall lights. I don't know if you can see, but I made these two memory boxes of my dad and my mum. You can see because I like the windows on there, but yeah, that's my mum's, that's my dad's. Quite pleased with those. These doors, they're still fairly cheap, but they look okay. But they can serve their purpose. This landing, I've got a lot of pictures. I think I'm showing you the landing. Very proud of this landing. We were when it went up. It's very warm because of the pine colour, and again easy to maintain. The second lot of stairs went up quite late on, but we were, again, up until that was done, we had a ladder, just show you, we had a ladder from here to here. This strobing's terrible. I can't do anything about it though, because if I don't put the lights on, you can't see anything. Obviously we started a gallery wall with all the family photos on. This, we put a step in here because the plumbing coming from the ensuite in the other bedroom needed to come at that level, so we had to put that step in across there, and also that helped with the height of the stairs. We've got creaky floors unfortunately, but yeah, so we're into the other bedroom now, and so we've got a window there. There's one thing I'm going to point out to you actually. I was saying about the French windows. Most of ours are fine, but with this one, for some reason, every time it's windy and wet, or well, windy basically, every time it's windy, the wind whistles into the bedroom and keeps us awake. So Duncan's had to stuff socks in that gap to stop that whistling, and it's really frustrating. One day we'll take it out and get a new window. This, we used to have a heater in this alcove, and then we realised, because we wanted these long curtains, pull that, and then the heat wasn't going into the room, so that was a waste of time. So we took it away from there and put it over there, just like I said, we used to have a heater, but because of the electric costs and that, and we weren't using it, so we took it out. But you can see there, that corner is the ensuite, which I'll show you in a minute. More exposed stone, and again the top of this is original. This fire we got in the UK and brought it over with us. It's never used, it's just to make it look like a fireplace. And this had a partial, the back part of the stones were there, but Duncan just brought it out and edged it with oak, and did the same again. He's blocked it in there despite there's not a fire here anyway, but yeah. So then we've got that wall. This is the other side of the bedroom next door. As I said, we've got a ceiling fan again, and like I said, we've got the painted ceiling again, and the nice old gnarly beam that goes straight across. Let's just put the... Can you see without? No, I'm going to have to put it on. See, immediately I've got the strobing. You can tell from the photos anyway, I'm sorry. That this looks very different now actually. We've got a newer shower, bigger shower than we had before. The other one I managed to fall in and broke it. Excuse me. And we had a wash stand here before. Let's turn that off for a minute. We had a wash stand there before, which was starting to look a bit tatty, so Duncan, we found a little cabinet in a second-hand shop, and he put the modern legs on it. He's got to the side there you can see a piece of wood, which is going to be a door that goes in front of it. So there's always things that are never actually finished, like around the bottom of the shower you can see the legs to the shower, but that's going to be boxed in as well eventually. And that's the towel rail, as I said, we've got in there. That's never really used either. We're so paranoid about the cost of electric. That is the other bedroom. Now here, we just step up here, we put this window seat in, hope you can see it, because it's just want another little feature really. And yeah, obviously we never sit there because there's no reason to, but it looks nice. And these curtains are never shut either, but again, I like a window with a curtain around the edge at least. A lot of people wouldn't put in net curtains because they just don't like them, but it's just we put them in because everybody else does in the village, and you just try to fit in. The curtains they do here come on this, usually this width. I think they might do narrow, or I can't remember, some other different widths, but they come and then you can cut them. There's this tiny bit here that you can cut across, because all of these are where the rod, you see at the top, the rod goes through. So you can cut them to length, and then when you cut them you end up with the fringe as well. So we did that on all the front windows. We obviously didn't put any at the back. Excuse, these are my neighbour's trousers she sent me to repair for her. I'll give them to her later. So we turn the other way and you can see there's more holiday photos and things on this side. And you can see now it's much better than having a ladder up to the loft. And you can see the bathroom obviously there. This is another recent bit of paintwork. I think it was a lighter colour before. But again, because of me, some people are going to think I do it on purpose. But because of me, I sort of stumbled up the stairs with a cup of tea in my hand. And I threw the tea all up the wall. So it had to be repainted. Now, these stairs, they're a little bit steeper than the other stairs, but they are so much easier because we use the loft a lot, as you know. It's my sewing space, and it's also, this is Duncan's office area. It's very small, but it means he can sit up here and just prepare his quotes and things. Put these lights in, it must have been about a year ago, maybe a bit more. We had one and we were looking for another one. I think they're beautiful, I really like those. The way they reflect on the wall and everything. But it's quite high from here. You get quite a height. But you see right down to the hallway floor, a lower staircase. So he's quite high. Can you imagine what it was like when we had to come up here on a ladder? And we've got the exposed stone here. So we've got exposed stone there, plasterboard there, and then cladding on the lower wall. And then we've got cladding on the ceiling, both sides. And of course there's insulation behind all of those. More books. This is Duncan's filing system. Then we go into the loft. And you've all seen the loft. Let's put the light on. There you go. Oh look, no strobing. So, yes, it looks a mess, but it's organised mess. I love it when I'm up in this room because I get to do whatever I want. It's just stuff to hand. It's not too big. I've got to walk miles to get everything. I can just turn around. As you can see, I've labelled everything. So I know where to find things. My new addition is my mannequin. You all know about that. But there's also obviously still not enough space. So I've got things sitting there annoyingly. But at least my fabric's organised. On this side, most of Duncan's electric stuff is in the garage now, but he has kept some of it in here. And I'm not going to show too much, but this is Duncan's railway. which one day he will let me film it, but at the moment a lot of it's taken apart because he's been putting a new sky scene on the back wall there. So one day you will see all of it. I hope this hasn't been too stroke before you. I'm quite annoyed about it really, but I think most of us vloggers now are having trouble because we will use LED lights, and they just seem to do that. But we've given you a taste, given you a taste of what work we've done. As I say, we've done all of it except the concrete floor. We do plan, hopefully, to get a Velux window put in this ceiling. So we've not bothered to put plasterboard on there. Again, it was another cost that we didn't need because it was the loft. We will do it one day. So there'll be a Velux either in that side or that side. I'd prefer it to be there because then I'll have direct daylight above my sewing table. But it may be a case of wherever the mayor decides we can have it, to the front or the back of the house. Yeah, so I mean, even up here, you can just about see if you look up there, that was all pointed, but you can see it's not pretty. It was just to make sure it was secure and the stones were strong. So hopefully I've covered everything, and you've got you can see what we've done. As you will see in the photos, it was basically like a shell really. We had the outside walls and there were a few bit dodgy floors, and so a few dodgy floors, so eventually we had to just be very careful and build them up. I mean, along here, let me show you around again, behind the lights there, you can see the beams where they come through there from the loft, those bits of wood sticking out of the wall. So that there is the only original bit of wall from the loft before, and then we've just basically strengthened it and put a door in. But from there down was very, very dodgy. I'm just remembering actually when we were taking the walls out that were in here, I think there must have been a wall along here for some reason. But anyway, we were knocking this wall out, and I was banging around on that side, and I fell straight through the floor that way. It was only my elbows that stopped me. So it was me hanging there with my elbows and my legs dangling. Let's get away from these stroby lights. So, I hope you enjoyed that. If there's any comments, if you want to say anything, ask anything, then obviously do that in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Au revoir.